Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Prime Minister Skerrit reassures Dominicans of future prospects during site visit at Jungle Bay. 2 men assisting police as lawmen investigate Wednesday's deadly shooting in Roseau. And Dr. Sam Christian to contest the Soufriere seat on a UWP ticket. The details of the news coming up.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
First up in the news, medical doctor Sam Christian has crossed the floor and has declared his candidacy for the UWP in the next general election. Dr. Christian was deputy leader of the Dominica Freedom Party as of last year, but resigned from the post in November 2017. Now he's looking to win the Soufriere constituency for the United Workers' Party. He spoke to Channel 5 News on Thursday, following being launched in Soufriere on Wednesday.
My purpose for returning to Dominica was to be able to assist in any way I can with all of the people to help move the country forward and to overcome some of its liabilities and difficulties. And the Freedom Party, great guys, I love them all, which was just a little bit not quite on the ground. Great radio program, a great legacy with Mary Eugenia Charles, but there was, I think, I call it a curse, and I broke that curse in Soufriere yesterday when people were told, or Freedomites were told, not to vote for the United Workers' Party.
Christian says the UWP's ideology is more in line with his vision.
I decided to work with to form an alliance with the United Workers' Party, Team Dominica, which has a very interesting logo. It has red, green, blue, people holding hands, which suits my philosophy to the point. We all, regardless of what background you are, and people do change backgrounds. Actually, that's a blessing that we have, unlike places like Afghanistan or Syria and different places in Africa, wherever people have very clear set tribal or religious differences. And the differences in Dominica are mostly party color. So if you're blue today and red tomorrow or something like that, it's a matter of the personal philosophy. And my personal philosophy is to work together as on the Team Dominica logo with anybody.
The former UWP candidate for the Soufriere constituency, Higgs Adams, lost to the Labour Party's Ian Pinard in the 2014 general election. Adams again lost a by-election in June 2016 to DLP's Denise Charles. Christian says he has a great deal of respect for Pinard and Charles.
This has been over the past few election cycles, a traditional Labour stronghold. However, the reception that we received was very encouraging, a lot of positive vibes, and we look forward for great things in this constituency. This campaign is going to be a high-level campaign. I see myself as a man of integrity, and so do my fellow citizens in that constituency. I will not tolerate any kind of gutter politics on my behalf. So we will, I think people will just look at the record and see what level of accomplishment, whether Point Michel, Soufriere, Scott said Gagnon, whether the places have moved forward.
2 men are assisting police with investigations into Wednesday morning's shooting in Roseau, which left Ezron Roberts of Granby dead. Police took over the crime scene, diverting traffic, and tried their best to keep the crowds from pressing in.
Ezron Roberts, male adult of Mountain, Granby, received 2 gunshot wounds, one to the face and the other to his leg. He was transported to the Accident and Emergency Department at the Princess Margaret Hospital, where he was treated and subsequently pronounced dead by a medical doctor.
More news now. Prime Minister Skerritt has reassured Dominicans of the country will rebound from the impact of Ross's departure.
Mr. Skerritt's remarks came during a site visit to the Jungle Bay Resort and Spa, currently under construction at Mon Akuma in Soufriere. The Prime Minister said while Ross's absence will have an effect on the country, it is not the end for Dominica.
In every disappointment, there are blessings, and we have to look for the blessings and to see how we're going to work to achieve this. Similar fashion regards to Ross. Many of us are depressed by it. We are saddened by its departure. But that cannot be seen as the end of our country. And I'm very optimistic that something better will come out of the situation. Those among us in this country who would like to continue to be bemoaning the point and making political mileage of this thing, making political mileage of anything that is of a negative impact to anybody is not going to benefit anybody. You understand? It is saying how we can work together as a country. Because a lot of people keep forgetting that this country is not mine alone, it belongs to everybody.
The Prime Minister said other establishments in Dominica had been temporarily shut down by the impact of weather systems, but they have resumed operations, and this showcases the strength and resilience of the Dominican people.
2 years ago, with Tropical Storm Erica, Jungle Bay was a thriving business. But Erica came and destroyed Jungle Bay. But in less than 2 years, see what has happened here with Jungle Bay. And at the end of the day, Jungle Bay will be much bigger than it was in Davis. It will employ more people when it's completed. Similarly, with regards to DCP, DCP closed down after Tropical Storm Erica. It was the largest exporter of products in Dominica. It contributed maybe closer to what Ross contributed, because Ross is not contributing 40% of our GDP. That's not true. So we have to look at what we have as a people, and this is why I always keep saying that the future of Dominica resides building for ourselves, helping each other.
Jungle Bay Resort and Spa is set to open in March 2019.
In more news, the Prime Minister of Barbados has issued a statement refuting claims her administration has taken advantage of Dominica's post-Hurricane Maria situation, luring Ross University into Barbados. Motley's statement issued on Tuesday was in response to critics who alleged that her administration basically stabbed Dominica in the back and capitalized on its misfortune. But the Bajan Prime Minister is pushing back, saying those who think so do not know her at all, claiming she is a close friend of Prime Minister Skerritt. She says her decision to pursue the offer by Ross University was deliberately delayed on her part in order to ensure that she understood the status of Dominica's recovery process.
My first response was to inquire of the state of recovery and rehabilitation in Dominica, and whether there was anything sister islands in the Caribbean, like Barbados, could do to fast-track the process of rehabilitation in Dominica. It must be known and understood by all concerned that Ross University had not actually been operational in Dominica since the passage of Hurricane Maria, and indeed, the student and faculty bodies were temporarily relocated to two separate countries since last year, namely St. Kitts and Tennessee. That situation will continue, I'm told, into the next semester. The question for Ross, therefore, was how soon could and would the situation be regularized to the extent of housing all students in the operation of the university, if not under one roof, surely on one island. Indeed, as they expressed it, how could they meet the expectations of all their stakeholders, the students, the parents and faculty, and then their shareholders as a publicly traded company? We inquired of Ross, as I said, whether all options and scenarios had been explored and fully exhausted. We spoke with officials of the Dominica government who were still hopeful of a return of the school, but who conceded that a January startup was highly unlikely given their circumstances.
The Barbados Prime Minister says the administration ensured that serious consideration was given to Dominica's plight leading up to sealing the deal with Ross, a decision which he claims was not entered into lightly.
It was only after Dominica was ruled out for the January startup of classes, and when attention had turned to at least two other potential locations in the region, two sister Caribbean islands, that Barbados then embraced the idea of making itself available as a possible site for relocation. It should also be noted that Adtalem Global Education has extensive operations all over the world and not just in the Caribbean. Hence, their choices have always been not just the Caribbean region. In all our discussions with Ross, it was stressed ad nauseum the impact the move would have on Dominica and the Dominican economy, and the clear need to mitigate this fallout.
Motley insists Barbados embraced the idea of housing Ross University only when and after it was determined that a return to Dominica was not an option at this time.
For anyone in the region to suggest otherwise is at best ignorant of the facts and at worst downright wrong and wicked. I am not at liberty to divulge the nature and focus of discussions currently taking place between Dominica and Ross, but I can say to all concerned that I have certainly made my views known on what can be done to ease the pain of the loss to Dominica of this enterprise. I believe also that over and beyond the issue of Ross and Dominica and Ross and Barbados, there is the bigger question of how we treat as a region to these mega entities and their interests in investing in our community. That is why we will shortly have before us as Ministers of Finance and thereafter as heads of government the consideration of a common community investment policy and investment code. I firmly believe that we can achieve so much more if we cooperate as a region in these matters rather than competing in a race to the bottom.
She says Barbados remains committed to assisting Dominica as they've done following each of the recent storms. And the leader of the Dominica Freedom Party, Kent Vital, says his party is ready to assist government following the departure of Ross University. Prime Minister Skerritt announced on Friday that Ross University had decided to pull out of Dominica after 40 years, pointing in part to the impact of Hurricane Maria on the institution's operations at Picard. The Freedom Party leader acknowledged that Ross's departure was a huge negative for Dominica's economy, particularly coming out of Hurricane Maria.
After the demise of the export of bananas to Europe, following the loss of preferential access, the operation of Ross University was the most significant activity energizing the economy of Dominica. Now we have lost that too. The Dominica Freedom Party understands what a chilling reality that is to the people of Portsmouth and the people of Dominica. And we stand ready to assist and to salvage this dire situation.
The Freedom Party leader is blaming the current administration for Ross's pullout of Portsmouth.
Ross University did not leave just because of the impact of Hurricane Maria. To be sure, Maria aggravated an already bad situation. But the truth involves much more than that. Dominica was once at the forefront of this offshore education sector when we first started. We were among the first Caribbean countries to run with this concept, but we dropped the ball. We did not appreciate what it takes to solidify our competitiveness in that industry. And as a result, other Caribbean countries entered the arena, and now we have lost this extremely important operation.
It's Vital's position that the current administration failed to embrace the competitiveness of the offshore sector, and the lack of an international airport was a major constraint.
The Picard area was developed without adequate attention to physical planning. As a result, while there were reasonably good buildings that individually met planning requirements, there was not sufficient attention to the overall aesthetics of the area, including streetscape, landscape, how building designs and exterior decor complemented each other, and ensuring that the area could equally serve more traditional tourism segments. Neither was there adequate efforts to organize landlords and businesses in the area in order to allow them to interact with the management of the Ross University for the mutual benefit of the university as well as the businesses and the people of Portsmouth. If such considerations were taken, it would have been more difficult for us to walk away from Dominica, in that the area would have been immensely more attractive for the operation of a university. But there are several other practical considerations that detracted from the effectiveness and the competitiveness of the operations of Ross University, and which now has led it to depart from our country. Access have been a major constraint in that regard, and after 18 years in office, and after several election promises, the ruling administration has not been able to solve this problem.
The Prime Minister announced in the 2018-2019 national budget that government had set aside substantial funds for the construction of an international airport. Mr. Skerritt also noted that two friendly countries had given commitments to assist with various aspects of its construction. He also said that negotiations for the acquisition of private lands and properties necessary to facilitate the construction of the airport would begin in September. You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more news after this.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fence pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. General Secretary of the Public Service Union, Thomas Layton, says proper air access would have been among the factors that would have made a difference for Ross University remaining or maintaining operations on island. Layton says he has been reliably informed that air access to and out of Dominica was a concern.
This thing has a lot of implication. After 40 years, to have an institution that has added so much to your GDP, to your economy, living, that had concerns with regard to access into the country. I remember at some point I had some discussion with senior people at Ross, and they actually told me that they were actually subsidizing Seaborn to be in Dominica to transfer their students and families and so on and so forth. And certain things, in my mind, were not put in place, and then therefore I am saying that all these things will have affected or contribute rather to what is happening now.
However, Parliamentary Representative for Portsmouth, Ian Douglas, said he does not believe that Ross University's management had an issue with Dominica due to the absence of an international airport.
They had been coming here without an international airport for 40 years anyway, so I don't think that would have been a factor in their decision to relocate. I think it has to do with the hurricane and how quickly they had to get back on their feet. I mean, and even the cost of relocation. I think these are the factors. Because it's an institution, it's a company, they're into business, really. They would not have the same sentimental attachment to Dominica or to even to Portsmouth as the original investor, Robert Ross, would have had, or even the owners that came before them, because the school was sold about twice since Dr. Ross, So I believe that I don't think that there is anything that the government of Dominica did or could have done or didn't do that could have caused Ross to stay. I think this was a straight commercial decision along business lines, profitability, and looking at the future of Dominica as far as natural disasters are concerned.
And the recently formed association in Portsmouth is positioning itself to reshape the hospitality sector there.
The Portsmouth Hospitality Association has been in existence for 4 months, with its objective being to get landlords and other stakeholders in Pickard and Portsmouth to recognize a better outcome of the hospitality sector if they work together. President of the association, Ashton Revere, says the organization is hoping to improve and expand the hospitality sector through dialogue with stakeholders.
One of the things that we've been focusing on is, even before Ross made the announcement this morning, was to focus on the fact that with the presence of Ross, we had in excess of 1,000 rooms available in Pickard that we could sell at any one time. So our focus has been whether or not Ross comes in or whether it stays or goes, we want to be prepared and try to reshape the whole hospitality industry in Portsmouth to take advantage of the room stock that we have there.
On the issue of Ross University leaving Dominica, Rivera says the association had been discussing this possibility over the past several months and sees the availability of rooms as a means to further the association's mandate.
But over the last 6 months, we have been discussing the Hospitality Association as a response to the potential departure of Ross, and also to take advantage, as I said, of the room stock that we had there. So we have been thinking of how best we can take advantage of that product that we have and to transform it from something a product producing or providing accommodation for students to moving into the hospitality area and dealing with overnighters and providing true quality customer service to people who want this road.
A new ferry service between Portsmouth and Guadeloupe began last Friday, and Rivera says the addition of Val Ferry to the town of Portsmouth will augur well for the hospitality sector.
I think the Val Ferry is just going to provide more impetus to what we wanted to do, because we recognize that we have to develop a product in Portsmouth, and Val Ferry now is going to be a key cog in that whole process, because what this does for us, what Val Ferry does for us, is open up the market in Guadeloupe. And what we have to do as an association is to ensure that we build partnerships and establish proper linkages, so that what we're going to find is that this service will not be one of those fly-by-night or one of the services that disappears over time. This is something that we want to establish as a permanent link between Portsmouth and Guadeloupe.
And the Education Trust Fund has been gifted with approximately $2,000 from an overseas-based entity.
The Dominica Secondary Schools Supporters Association, DASA, is a UK-based charity which provides financial assistance to the secondary schools and students in Dominica. On Thursday, the association handed over £550, just under 2,000 EC dollars, to the Education Trust Fund. This is the first tranche of a total of £1,500 to be given to the fund to help carry out its work of assisting secondary school children. Chairman of the Education Trust Fund, Willie Fervier, explained that the fund assists secondary school students both through money donated to it and money provided by government.
We provide assistance in the areas of transportation, wherever there are no contracted buses to take children from the various communities to the secondary schools. So we provide some transportation assistance. We help with school registration fees. We help with CXC examination fees. We also facilitate the uniform allowance. The uniform allowance is not paid from the funds that we raise at the Education Trust Fund. One has to apply to the ministry, but however, the Education Trust Fund office pays the suppliers. Similarly, with the contracted bus drivers, the government provides the funds to pay them directly. So this is not part of our fundraising as such.
2 weeks ago, the Education Trust Fund had its annual radiothon to raise money for its activities. According to Fervier, the fund fell short of its $30,000 target.
When I last checked, we raised approximately $20,000. Our target was $30,000, but we fell short by $10,000. But one of the reasons perhaps is, well, first of all, I noticed that we did not get as many calls as we normally do, or what we normally did in the past. And I would attribute that perhaps to the telephone system not being up to 100%.
During the last academic year, approximately 1,000 students were assisted by the Education Trust Fund. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Prime Minister Skate reassures Dominicans of future prospects during a site visit at Jungle Bay. 2 men assisting police as lawmen investigate Wednesday's deadly shooting in Rosa, which left 1 man dead. And Dr. Sam Christian to contest the next general election on a UWP ticket. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.